All right, welcome to one of our first film reviews of the 2025 season. Today we are talking Chargers rookie defensive lineman Jamaree Caldwell. Caldwell got a lot of great playing time against the Lions in the Hall of Fame game, and he did a lot of really good things, a lot of stuff to be excited about, and we got a great set of cut-ups here to highlight exactly what Caldwell did and what he will bring for the Chargers going forward. As always, leave us a comment with any feedback you might have, any thoughts on other players you want us to break down. But without further ado, let's jump into the film. All right, let's start with the run defense, and there's Caldwell, of course, on the left side of your screen. He's lined up in what looks like it's a two-eye technique on the inside eye of the guard. We would call him a three technique if he was on the outside shoulder of the guard. But right here for the Lions, they're running kind of a standard inside zone concept. Every offensive lineman is going to take a track just like this on the play side. The H-back / tight end, he's going to work across the formation to cut off any backside pursuit. And on the backside here, we're going to get scoop techniques as they work to cut off Caldwell. Guard working up to the next level. The tackle here working to try and reach Caldwell. Running back's going to take this track and just find an opportunity to cut back wherever he can. Now let's look at Caldwell right here at defensive line position. One of the things we like with rookies, and especially when it comes to the preseason, is do they stand out? And Caldwell certainly does. Makes the play here. Let's check it out. All right, there's a snap. You can see the zone track across the board. You can see 40, the tight end H-back, taking a little different kind of track, but he's working to cut off the backside pursuit. Let's look at Caldwell right here. He gets into his gap. You see how he immediately shocks his tackle and just throws away these offensive linemen and makes the play with the explosion. Look at this tackle on the running back, 42. Watch how 42 go flying. Boom. I mean, that's awesome. You talk about different. You talk about jumping off the screen. This is what you're talking about, right? He takes on both offensive linemen. I think in this situation, by assignment, he's a B-gap defender between the guard and the tackle. He does a really good job. He basically shocks his tackle into next week, and he works across the guard like it's nothing, and then makes a play. I mean, this is awesome stuff for Caldwell. Again, a lot of expectations when it comes to the Chargers this year. Really good defense last year. Looking for key pieces to supplement the team, and Caldwell, I think, can be one of these guys. Doesn't get a lot of press, doesn't get a lot of publicity, just like a lot of big defensive tackles don't. But when you watch his tape and you look at what he's done in training camp, you can see why the Chargers are so excited. He looks like a man among boys, even in the NFL. I know it's preseason. I know these are a lot of other young guys making their first appearances, but he just looks different. He takes on two blockers like it's nothing, fights across the face, and makes a play. Nice work from the rookie here. All right, from the wide copy, watch Caldwell again. Gets into these guys. Look how the shock he delivers. You see that head snap from that tackle? That's power. You see this guard right here gets on and gets nowhere. See how the guard's working vertically and then just gets stopped and driven back? Resetting the line of scrimmage, works across their face like it's nothing, delivers an impact tackle. Right? This is really good stuff from number 99 right here. And again, he's not a perfect player. He's got stuff to work on, right? There's a reason he wasn't a first-round pick or anything like that. But when you watch him in this Hall of Fame game, you realize he has a special physical nature. He's going to be a big part of this Chargers defense going forward. Again, just dominating the line of scrimmage up front, making the play with explosiveness right here as well. All right, I know this next play got Jim Harbaugh and Minter absolutely excited because this is technically perfect. You can see right there Caldwell. He's lined up in a true three technique on the outside shoulder of the guard. This is going to be a gap scheme up front from the Lions. They're going to have the tackle work out. We're going to get double teams right here, working up to the linebacker. We're going to get a double team right here, working up to the linebacker just like this. Running back working inside, trying to find a place to run, cut this way, cut that way, wherever he can find a hole. In this situation, when you're getting double team, you are taught technically to dip your knee into the turf, get skinny, and just blow it up, right? You want to have both these guys basically stonewalled at the line of scrimmage. The guard can't get off to the linebacker, then your linebacker can make the play. This is a perfect technical example. Caldwell looks like a 10-year vet with this rep. Let's check it out. All right, there's a snap. You can see the double teams across the board. You can see the inside run concept for the Lions. Well, let's watch Caldwell, right? He gets in the guard. He feels the double team. Watch his knee dip right there. Bang, look at that. Perfect. Look at this, folks. I mean, it doesn't look like a big thing. Probably didn't even notice on the broadcast. Gets into this, good pad level, good base, drops his knee. You see how now both offensive linemen are caught in this mess. Guard's coming off, can't get on any linebacker. Tackle gets no movement. It's just a big old mass of humanity in here. Running back has to bounce it outside. Look who's there to make the play, or at least be part of the play. The linebacker that the guard for the Detroit Lions couldn't get up to because, again, Caldwell's doing his job. Perfect technique. Getting skinny, which is kind of a funny phrase when it comes to Caldwell, but it's exactly what you do. Get thin, get narrow, put your knee in the ground, create a mass of humanity. Beautiful technique here from Jamaree Caldwell.
Yeah, Nick, that's exactly what Caldwell did in college. A guy that was a really good run defender, brings that over to the NFL, starting to see him play against his first real players, a 70.5 run defense grade in his first preseason game. I think that's pretty good. Something to be excited about Jamaree Caldwell.
All right, last play was double teams. How about point of attack? Can Caldwell win in those situations? And there he is right there. He's lined up in a head up 2-eye, but he ends up basically playing like a B gap defender. This is going to be a zone concept working this direction for the Lions. Center is going to work up to the linebacker, which means this guard, let me clean up the screen for you, one-on-one on Caldwell right here at the point of attack. Tackle working out just like this. Running back's trying to work through this hole. Caldwell wins the rep and makes the play. Phenomenal job from the rookie. Let's check it out. Right, there's a snap. You can see the center work up to the next level. You can see Caldwell right there kind of getting reached. You know, I said he was a B-gap defender, but the way he looks with his eyes is almost like he may be an A-gap defender. It may just not be a B-gap guy by scheme, or maybe the safety should fill. I'm not 100% sure. It is the preseason, so assignment football is going to be a little lacking at times because obviously these are new players. But let's look at Caldwell just in terms of how he plays this. Good base, power, shock, shed, discard, make the tackle. Look, that's perfect. That's awesome. You talk about a two-gap interior defensive lineman. Again, squaring up this offensive lineman. He gets reached a little, right? Theoretically, this offensive lineman thinks, okay, my helmet is between Caldwell's helmet and where the running back's going to go. Good job. But Caldwell already dislocates him right there and makes the play. His strength, his power, football IQ, recognition, and reaction, all excellent. And I get it. It's the preseason. The competition may not be the best, but he's delivering really good stuff already. This young defensive lineman has a bright future in this Chargers defense. From the wide copy, you get a really good look at it right here. Watch how this guard gets in him. Look at that extension. You see how he shocks and extends? That's what you want. And then phase two of that is shed, right? So the shock and shed that you hear all the time people talk about, right here. Shock, shed, make the tackle. Perfect. This is what you want. Ideal. Cannot do it any better than this. Again, almost a perfect two-gap situation on this guard, taking a look at the A gap and then bouncing out to the B gap. Shock, extend, reset the line of scrimmage. You see how there's movement in other places? Look at this Chargers defensive lineman right here. Say he gets driven off the football a little bit. That's winning for the offense in a lot of ways. A lot of movement there, but no movement right here when it comes to Caldwell. Driving the offensive lineman back, resetting the line of scrimmage, and then shedding, making the play. Great work. All right, how about a little pass rush for the big defensive tackle? There he is lined up, and I'm going to call that a wide 3 technique, or you may even call it a 4-eye on the head-up tackle there, depending on how you want to call that. I'll probably call that a 4-eye, honestly, if I'm going to be totally honest with you. But regardless, he's going to end up one-on-one on the left guard in a pass rush situation because the tackle's going to fan out. It's a pass play, so we got one-on-one right there, Caldwell on the guard. Caldwell, known more for his run defending, like we've seen in this cut-up. Really good pass rush move right here. Draws a penalty. Let's check it out. All right, there's a snap. You can see the tackle work out and look out. You can see right there Caldwell one-on-one on the guard. Works through, over-the-top swim move, fights through, gets held. Nice work. Again, Caldwell, big man, right? He's not going to look like a superstar edge rusher, right? He doesn't look like Abdul Carter, the top 5 selection now for the New York Giants or anything like that. He doesn't look like Khalil Mack, if you want a Chargers example, of course. Big dude, run defender, right? I love, by the way, he attacks his tackle. Like, he just likes attacking people. Aggressive nature. Don't know if he necessarily needed to do that, but I appreciate where his head's at. But in terms of getting into his pass rush move, works there. Little swim move over the top, beats the guard, gets through, gets held right there as well. Again, drawing the penalty. Nice work. In terms of an interior defensive lineman, you're not going to get out there and do like a Khalil Mack or an old Joey Bosa where you're beating the tackle with a bunch of moves and getting, a million sacks in a game, right? You'll take that if that happens, but realistically, that ain't going to happen. What you want, though, is to work through these guys against the run, show effort, show motor, have the ability to take advantage of opportunities, draw penalties when they're there, and that's exactly what Caldwell does here. Really nice rep. Primarily known as a run defender, making a play in the pass rush.
Yeah, and again, pass rush, another part of Caldwell's game, I think is important here. He's able to get 2 pressures in this game. For a guy like him, that is almost tying the amount that he got all season last year, playing in significantly less snaps. So good pressure from Caldwell here. I think he's showing at an NFL level he can get and disrupt the passer.
All right, you're talking about disruptive. This is the kind of player you're talking about. You can see Caldwell right there. He's lined up in a 3 technique right there on the guard. So the Lions here are going to run a power concept. What they're going to do is going to have everybody on the offensive line basically blocked down. They're going to have the guard pull and then the fullback come through and lead just like this. So the goal, basically how this works, is to create a massive seal here, have the guard pull, kick someone out, or the guard work out, depending on how they want to scheme it, and then the fullback either kicks someone out or works someone up. So basically what you do is you get to quote Vince Lombardi, a seal here and a seal here, and then you run the play in the alley, right? That's what the offense, the Lions in this case, are trying to do. Now, you have a guy like Caldwell right here who just disrupts everything. Like, he literally crashes down inside. That's his assignment. Blows into an offensive lineman, creates a massive chaos, makes a play a lot uglier than really the Lions hope for. This is a kind of disruptive nature that doesn't show on the stat sheet, but I think will be very vital to any defense, certainly the Chargers. Let's check it out. All right, there's a snap. You can see the block down, the pulling guard, running back trying to get north and south. Pretty good job by the Chargers defense overall. Let's look at Caldwell. Let's look at this mass of humanity right here. So see how he slants inside, works across the guard. That's fine. He attacks the center aggressively. See how he just shocks the center, gets the center off his block, gets another guy off his block, right? You can see right here, this tackle working down. He gets caught in the mess. So it just becomes a mass of humanity. You can see all of these guys for the Lions. You look at the center in this case and the tackle. Offensive guard has to widen out his pull a little bit because it's such an ugly mass of pile right in the middle of the field and just a bunch of chaos going on. Guys are able to flow over the top and make the play. And from a defensive lineman, sometimes it's about shocking and shedding. Sometimes it's about pressure. Sometimes it's about winning double teams. A lot of times, I just want you to cause chaos. Can you disrupt the line of scrimmage? Can you create just a monstrous mass of humanity that the offense doesn't know how to react? Can you get a center that ends up blocking basically no one, who's just caught in the trash? Can you get a tackle completely dislocated, thrown all over the place? Can you create just a big old mush, like a bunch of piles right here? Now, they end up doing a good job, the Lions do, of kicking it out and working up to the next level. Credit to them. But I think what Caldwell does here is really impressive. Again, just creating a wrecking ball in the middle of this offense and other situations going forward this season that will create opportunities for other members of this D. All right, from the wide copy, get a good look how he slants inside. See how he beats the guard across his face, bams into the center, bams into the tackle. Again, massive humanity right here. Just creates a massive blob. Now, you would like better Chargers to flow over the top, and this is where he is right here. Makes a play. Nice work. So again, team defense, this is what about. You want to create a massive humanity, create a lot of chaos. That's what you do. Allow your unblocked players to make the play. Good work by the Chargers and Caldwell here. All right, how about something to work on in the pass rush department? There's Caldwell right there. He's lined up in a 3 technique. He's going to actually slant inside into this gap. It ends up basically one-on-one on the center. What the Lions do here is they slide the protection to that way. So the center's going to take that gap, guard's going to take that gap, tackle's going to take that gap, and then we basically get one-on-one right here on the right side of the Lions offense, the left side of your screen. So this is a situation called where he works inside, gets one-on-one in the center, delivers great movement, delivers a shock, but kind of fades away a little bit and allows to get pushed outside the pocket. This is something for me where I want him to utilize his strength and utilize his power and just power through and stay on track. If he does that, he can be a lot better in this situation. Learning example right here for this young defensive lineman. Let's check it out. All right, there's a snap. You can see he slants down inside. You can see the tackle working out, the guard working out to pick up the linebacker. You can see in this situation, Caldwell right here, he is trying to, I think, hit the center because the defensive lineman's looping around. They're doing a little bit of a stunt. You can see 96 working around this direction. 96 started left. So he's trying right here, Caldwell, to pick the center. So he wants to go through with power and explosiveness. Pick the center, pick the guard, and get pressure in the quarterback's face. And he does right away. Good job. He gets him on their heels right there. That's not bad. Now keep working. You see how he gets, a little too, hey, I want to raise the hand to bat the ball down, and hey, I get a little too long, maybe too high in the pads, or however you want to call it. Come through like a wrecking ball. Come through with so much power that we've seen already, and just blow into the center and create chaos. Right here, I think he gets a little too cute, for lack of a better word. Tries to just get his hand up, maybe work a little pass rush move, and he gets thrown out of the lane. Again, you can see him and 96 right there, Caldwell 96, end up basically in the same spot. That's not what you want. If this was a scrambler right here, look at all the space. He could have run for days. But again, this is something to learn going forward. In this situation, attack. Be aggressive, deliver a powerful shock, and then you can work to the quarterback. All right, from the wide copy, watch Caldwell right here. His initial shock right there. You see how the center gets backpedaling? That's not bad. Now just keep going, right? Keep going. See how he gets almost too vertical right there? See how he just kind of flattens out? I want him to just keep working horizontally this way. Take on the center, take on the guard, destroy him. Right there, you got him. Now keep working right there this direction, right at 74. But he gets caught in the trash, gets caught trying to raise up his hand and bat the ball down. Keep doing your job right here. Just keep working through, be explosiveness. Good things will happen. This is something to learn on. Again, first ever NFL appearance. Ain't going to be perfect, folks. Was a lot of good. We've shown a lot of good. But this right here, this play is something I want to see Caldwell work on going forward. All right, this may be one of the more underrated plays I saw from Caldwell all night long. There he is right there on the, I'll call that a 1 technique on the center, just like this. So what's going to happen in this situation is the guard's going to block down and the center's going to pull around. So in this situation, defensive lineman, certainly veteran defensive lineman, they're head up, right? He feels the center. When you see the center start pulling, you know a down block's coming, so you got to react. Because what young defensive linemen do, they see the center pulling away and they keep working upfield, and then they get ear-holed by this guard and get buried inside, right? It happens all the time for young defenders at all levels. So this is a situation where a well-coached, fundamentally sound defender feels the center pull and immediately works back into the guard. That's what Caldwell does. Great job with recognition, reaction, high IQ. But the power he shows, the unbridled strength is absolutely redonkulous as he works over the top. Let's check it out. This is a crazy play from Caldwell. All right, there's a snap. He sees the guard pull, or excuse me, sees the center pull, Immediately, look at his left hand. You see how right there, he sees the center pole right there. He sees that step. What does Caldwell do? He goes right to the guard, gets right into him right there. That is recognition and reaction. You talk about what makes NFL caliber athletes so special. This is what you're talking about. This kind of recognition, reaction, football IQ, off the charts kind of stuff from Caldwell. Center's pulling, he recognizes, immediately gets his hand into this offensive guard, gets a good base, good pad level. All that is really, really good. Doesn't give up any ground. Nice work. So right here at this point, he's doing a good job. But watch what he does. Watch what he does with one arm. He just extends right there and pushes and walks his guard back and works over the top and gets near the tackle. You talk about strength. You talk about an unstoppable force. My goodness gracious. One arm, right? This is a grown man, right? 300 plus pounds. This guy was a good college football player, and he's being walked back by one arm by Caldwell just like this. My goodness gracious. I don't know how this guy didn't just completely dominate the Big Ten in the Oregon last year. And I think in a lot of ways he had a good season. But when I look at his strength and power, I mean, this is absolutely crazy. Great base, pad level, walks this offensive lineman back like it's nothing. Great work from Caldwell.
Yeah, Nick, and here Caldwell actually helps another guy make a stop. But talking about stops, talking about statistics, Caldwell did very well in this game. He was able to get 2 stops, 3 tackles, both things matching his season average, actually exceeding it in a few times, talking about last year. But yet he played half the amount of snaps that he averaged last season in this game. So Caldwell off to a very productive NFL start. Great looking on the field for him.
All right, let's end on something else for Caldwell to improve on. There he is right there, lined up in a 3 technique on the outside shoulder of the guard. He's going to slant inside, and he's going to end up one-on-one with the center. And his initial contact, his initial explosion is absolutely awesome. He blows the head back of the center, snaps it back, creates that disruptive force we like to see. But then he loses it, right? This is one of those things Caldwell needs to work on. He has these moments of dominance, but every once in a while he lets it get away from him. This is an example of that. Let's check it out. All right, there's a snap. You can see it's a zone run concept to the right side of your screen, the offensive left. You can see Caldwell slants inside. The guard works up for the Lions. You can see the center right here picks up Caldwell. Watch what happens. Boom, look at that shock. You can see the center's head snap back. Look at that. Walk back. But Caldwell loses it and ends up getting blown out of the way a little bit. This is the one thing Caldwell really needs to work on in the run defense. It's that after the step, right? After he delivers the shock, and sometimes he's great at it. We saw in the previous play, he kept walking the guard back, but he delivers the shock right here, then gets a little off balance, and then gets blown out of the way. When you're an interior defensive lineman, when you're fighting through this, you're going to get a little off balance. You're going to get, whacked every once in a while. These are good players up front. These are NFL offensive linemen. You need to make sure, even when that happens, you don't get completely thrown out of the way. And that's something Caldwell definitely needs to work on. Minimizing the negative, minimizing the bad plays, limiting the damage, so to speak. And this is a great first 2 steps, right? 1, 2, boom, explosion. Look at that, resetting the line of scrimmage, but then gets washed out of the way, and look what happens. Big hole. Lions run for very successfully downfield. It's not all on Caldwell here, of course, but this is something where if he delivers the shock and then keeps working forward and keeps driving the center back, there's a chance he throws the center into the fullback can't get on him, then becomes a mass of humanity, and it becomes a no game for the Lions offense. And he's this close to getting there. I wouldn't be saying this if he didn't have the potential, because his first 2 steps, look at this, boom, right there. Now it's about finishing for Caldwell. All right, from the wide copy, get a really good look at it. Watch where he makes contact. Right there, right about, what is that, the 38, 37-yard line for the Chargers? Look what happens to the center. Gets dropped back like a yard, that snap back, but then he loses it, right? Great initial contact right there. Boom, shock. You see how the center takes a step back. Look at the center's feet, right? Immediately, see how he steps back? He gets shocked and driven back. Both his feet step back a yard. You don't want to go backwards in the run game if you're an offensive lineman. That's the impact Caldwell can have in terms of his power, his explosiveness, but he doesn't finish. The offensive lineman gets shocked, but allows him to recover, opens up this big hole. Again, not all on Caldwell here, but this is the opportunity where if he takes it to the next level and keeps working the center back, he can blow this play up. Because right here, if he blows that center back up a little bit more, maybe another yard, fullback can't get on that linebacker, running back has nowhere to go, ends up being a nice play for the Chargers defense. Instead, it was a bad play for the Chargers defense. Caldwell, really good player, very good first preseason game. He's got a bright future, but this is one thing to work on that we see every once in a while, is that he's a great first 2 or 3 steps. Sometimes it's about finishing. If he improves on this, he'll be a dynamite defender for the Los Angeles Chargers.